Jordan Love has become the highest paid QB in NFL history with a record-breaking contract tonight. If you'll excuse me for a moment. I'm just kidding. I love this. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. The deal got done. Grossi, and breaking news. Jordan Love has received a 4-year extension worth $220 million. That means it will be $55 million per year with a $75 million signing bonus, which is the largest in NFL history. And on top of that, he will get $155 million in guarantees. And yeah, let's talk about it. The first thing that needs to be said is congratulations to Jordan Love, because this has not been an easy road for Jordan Love. And we could talk about the personal aspect of it, or we could just talk about as a professional on the Green Bay Packers. He was met with a lot of negativity the second he was drafted. I obviously was not a fan about it. I yelled into a pile of clothes because I really wanted Patrick Queen. It wasn't about Jordan Love. It was literally I wanted a linebacker so the 49ers didn't run all over us again in the NFC Championship game. And that night, I talked about Jordan Love and how he was going to be facing an uphill battle because Aaron Rodgers was not going to be happy that he was going to get drafted. But this was a guy who needed to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and to learn behind Aaron Rodgers. And so in 2020, when he was drafted, we saw nothing from Jordan Love because it was the COVID season. There was no preseason games. Then in 21, he dealt with some injuries and we didn't really see a ton of Jordan Love. And what we saw really wasn't great in preseason. We saw him start a game against the Chiefs and he looked pretty good, but nothing super inspiring. And then it wasn't until we saw him in the following year's preseason game where it was like, oh, you could see the improvement. Tom Clements, God, we need to talk about him. The fact that he came back, and I've talked about Tom Clements a lot on this channel, but the fact that he came back for Aaron Rodgers and then stayed because of Jordan Love, you just see the progress and also the belief that Tom Clements has in Jordan Love, but the progress that Jordan Love has had these past 2 seasons. And then last year, he goes out, he starts. There's already a ton of negativity about it because you have a whole bunch of people in the league saying there's no way the Packers could have done this again. So there's this expectation that Jordan Love is going to fail. You have week 1 that sent Bears fans into a complete existential crisis. It did happen. And then week 2, they lose. They blow it to the Falcons. Week 3, they have a comeback against a Derek Carr-less Saints. And then it's about completion rating. And oh, he's not completing enough passes. And then Jordan Love starts to struggle. Throwing some bad interceptions for a few weeks, and it's not great. The Packers as a whole are not playing well. The offensive line is bad. The receivers and Jordan Love, they are not in sync. They're instead Backstreet Boys, which are better than in sync, so I guess that's a wrong reference. But the point that I'm making is Jordan Love, things started rocking. The offensive line got better. Wide receivers started to have a better understanding of what Jordan Love was trying to do, and Jordan played better. Really limited those mistakes, went on a tear with a team that was not given a ton of resources on the offensive side of the ball. Really young wide receivers. They drafted guys, but there was no telling what they were going to do. Drafted 2 brand new tight ends. One gets hurt, and guess what? Tucker Kraft turned out to be pretty good too, even though Luke Musgrave was good before he went down. The team, this young team, just made it work. And so what you saw from Jordan Love at the end of that season was really, really damn good football. And this is where critics will come in and say, hey, for the sample size that we've seen from Jordan Love, it is not worthy of a 4-year, $220 million contract. That is just, there's no way the Packers could invest in that because we've only seen a season. My response to that would be, that's a valid argument. I would argue the Packers have seen 4 years of Jordan Love develop. We've seen 1 season of Jordan Love. 1. 2, the Green Bay Packers have done this before. This is not anything new. When Aaron Rodgers was drafted in 2005, much to the chagrin of one Brett Favre, the first 3 years of Aaron Rodgers' career, he didn't do a whole lot. You could talk about those really early preseason games. He was straight up awful because he did not develop into who Aaron Rodgers would eventually become. He starts in the 2008 season, and in October of 2008, the Packers gave him a 5-year, $65 million contract. They only saw him as the starter for a handful of weeks, and he had that comeback game against the Cowboys. That was it. And the Packers said, okay, we are going to invest in this guy. So even less games than Jordan Love. And the Packers have seen Jordan Love, seen the work that he has done, the development that has occurred, has seen for this past week of training camp where all the reports about how terrible the offense is and they keep turning over the ball. They're missing the guy who made it work last year and beat a Cowboys team who was the second seed and almost knocked off the 49ers, who are the reigning defending NFC champions. So I disagree that the sample size is off because they did it with a less of a sample size with Aaron Rodgers. And again, they are paying him, they are investing in what he can become. They saw what his play was, at times inconsistent, especially beginning of the season when the O-line was bad too, wide receivers not so good, and he was not playing well, and saw how he rebounded. That young team came together, and they played really damn good football. So I'm not worried about the sample size. When it comes to the actual money, I'm even more not worried. He's making $55 million a year, which is in line with Joe Burrow and also Trevor Lawrence. I think you can make the argument that Joe Burrow deserves more money because he has that Super Bowl appearance and more experience, and I wouldn't disagree with you. That's a Joe Burrow contract problem. But Trevor Lawrence getting $55 million when there are concerns with Trevor Lawrence, and I want to be very clear, I'm not throwing shade at Trevor Lawrence because he won a playoff game just like Jordan Love and has a little bit more of a sample size. But there are still concerns, just like there are with Jordan Love and just like there are with Joe Burrow, maybe even see the injury aspect. But the point of this is not to tear QBs down to make my QB look better. The point is that this is what the market is. And I also don't really understand any outrage because Jared Goff just got paid $53 million a year on a very similar deal of $212 million over 4 years. So he's making $2 million less a year than Jordan Love. And Jared Goff is 29 years old. Jordan Love is 25. We've seen Jared Goff, who, again, there's no shade at Jared Goff. The guy got traded to Detroit, and the expectation was this guy's not going to be on the roster in 2 years. He has worked his ass off and became an essential piece of that offense. Jordan Love, with the guys we had on the field last year, especially with all the youth, he made that offense run at the end of the year and played really damn good football. So yes, they're investing early. They've done it before with Aaron Rodgers. It's right in line with a guy like Jared Goff with only $2 million per season more, and he is 4 years younger than Jared Goff. He's making the same amount of money as Trevor Lawrence and the same amount of money as Joe Burrow. So I think that this is a great deal because yes, could it blow up in the Packers' face? Sure, just like it could with any other quarterback. This could not go well. However, I don't see him falling off a cliff. And as I said before on stream, if Jordan Love just plays the same level he was last year, that team nearly knocked off the 49ers, who went to the Super Bowl and could have won it if they could hold on to 10-point leads. And this year, with a hopefully better supporting cast and another year of chemistry, this is the Packers' window. I think the Packers are looking at this. This is why we're bringing in guys like McKinney, because if they really didn't care, they just draft guys and call it a day. But they went out and got a top free agent to make that defense better. They got rid of Joe Barry to try and make this defense better. And so now they are investing in their quarterback who made their offense successful and helped them beat the Cowboys, nearly beat the 49ers last year. I love this deal because it's an investment in Jordan Love. Now the kid's just got to go out and ball. And he did it at the end of last year, and I gotta think he's only gonna be better because that's what the Packers are counting on, for him to be even better than what we saw. Again, is it risky? Sure. But the Packers have taken plenty of risks before when they drafted Jordan Love, when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, when they paid Aaron Rodgers with only seeing a handful of games, and now paying Jordan Love with only seeing a season. It is risky. It worked out for them before. They wouldn't have made the investment if they don't think it can work out again. So the Green Bay Packers, they believe in Jordan Love. They've proven it. Now let's see what he's got. And I cannot wait to watch it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You guys send me at Tom Grossi Comedy or Tom Grossi Comedy, all social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.